Hey, hello there. Good morning.
Hello, Grand Rising.
Mhm. Happy Money Making Monday.
Yes, happy money making Mondays. Welcome, you guys. It is Monday again.
Yes, they roll around quick.
Quintaria,
That's a blessing.
that golden brown is doing it, honey. I
Oh,
love
well, I'll
it.
take that, honey. Yeah. I will take that for sure. I will take that.
I
Most
love
definitely I'll
it.
take it. How's your week been?
Phenomenal. Every
That's
week
what's up.
gets better. I never miss an opportunity to learn and grow. So I learned a lot of stuff this week.
Really.
I'll
You
tell
want to
you
share
that.
what's one thing you've learned?
Oh man, listen, I have learned, I have never really been good at time management, but I learned something, how to effectively put all your time into something. So I basically consolidated a 2 hour, I'm gonna call it a shift. I made it seem like I was clocking in for 2 hours. I
Mm,
got more done in telling my family I'm clocking in for 2 hours. I'm off the clock, right? But I'm clocking in, and I was able to focus and get so much more done in that 2 hours than I did the whole entire day. So I
mm.
learned how to effectively manage my time for certain things. So super excited.
Boom. Okay. Well, after those wonderful and inspiring words that Mercedes shared, will for those who may be new to this platform, and for those who are familiar with our community, you want to keep it rolling and tell us who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. Guys, it's right there. Mercedes Coates, that's my name. I am the CEO of Coatesway Financial. We specialize in financial services, particularly in the life insurance industry. I work with living benefits, life insurance, retirement planning, child legacy plans. My goal is to create more financially sound families and business owners by helping you structure the right financial product, right financial strategy for yourself or for your business. Today, I am accompanied by the financial strategist, Miss Quintaria Coates. I'm trying to call you Coates,
Look,
girl.
I'm
I'm
in the
Queen
family. I'm in
family.
the family.
Quintaria Brunson.
Y'all hear that? We heard it here today. I am a part of the family.
She's my sister. That's it.
Thank you.
So,
That's what you know is real. I'm a part of the family.
yeah.
Yes, I am Quintaria Brunson. I am a financial strategist and the owner of a firm called the Brunson Approach, where we eagerly specialize and seek out ways to help minority entrepreneurs build legacy. And if that legacy includes aspects of real estate, business ownership, business franchising, business strategy, as well as life insurance and lifetime income strategies, our team is capable and ready to supply exit strategies or help business owners to create exit strategies to do just that. So, Mercedes and I have partnered a couple years back, and we were so passionate about what we do and how we help our community that we wanted to commit to showing up on a regular basis and sharing the content that is life changing.
Yeah.
And that is where Money Making Mondays came from, because, with good strategy, there's so many opportunities to have the life that you desire today and to leave and build the legacy that you would want to leave for your future generations tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just gonna roll right on in. So today we're talking about conversion strategy, how to go from a term policy to a permanent policy. So I wanted to do a quick quote, like we always do about this time.
Yeah.
And it says, strategy is a commodity, execution is the art. And that's by a gentleman named Peter Drucker. But strategy is a commodity, meaning it's everywhere. Like everybody talking strategy, saying they doing strategy. You look on TikTok and, and all these other places, everybody's giving strategy.
Mm-hmm.
However, the execution, which is what I want to dig into today, that's the art. And that, quite frankly, now I'm adding on to this quote, but that is the difference between those who are living the life that they desire, or at least on the path or the trajectory of the life that they desire, and those who are just kind of sitting on the dock of the bay.
Mm-hmm.
All
Mm-hmm.
have, ideas and goals
Check
and
that out.
dreams. Yep. Thanks.
Desire.
Yep, we all have a desire, but
Mm-hmm.
for those of us that are putting one foot in front of the other, that is, like banding together and partnering with other individuals like
Yeah.
Mercedes and I have done, and making a commitment
Yep.
to execute our goals so that we can have so that our dreams can be fulfilled. That is what I think is the main difference in people who are living their dream life and people who just sitting around and dreaming their dream life.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I mean, I'm excited about this topic. Anything that got to do with talking about the types of policies, I'm all in. I'm like a geek for
Yeah,
this stuff, but we like to make it fun and simple so that you understand it and are able to apply it very simply. And not only that, but teach it to your generations down the line. Having all this knowledge means nothing if you don't pass it on. It
yeah,
means nothing if you don't execute, right?
yeah. Knowledge is not what's power. Applied knowledge is power. That's
Absolutely.
the key.
I agree.
Knowing something, it's almost like having a storage unit with a whole, with $1 million in it. Like,
Mhm.
that's cool,
Mhm.
but what are you doing with the $1 million? What, is it growing,
Mhm.
or is it just sitting there collecting, dust mites and withering
Yep.
away?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
agree. So we're talking about conversions today, right?
Uh-huh.
So we're talking about term insurance versus permanent. So
Mm-hmm.
let's just kind of set the tone for
Yep, let's set it. Let's start it
expectations.
off right.
So when it comes to life insurance, a lot of people are not too familiar. I mean, what most people think is what, you think of life insurance, you think about dying, or expiring. I'm not so graphic. Some people don't like the graphic. But nevertheless, we think about that traditionally, right? But when we talk about strategy, guys, we're talking about deciding which plan is going to work best, and also how you can start with a term policy that can benefit where you are today and kind of move you into a permanent. So one example I always like to use, Quintaria, is term is like, when you think of term, you think of temporary, you think of an apartment. You're in an apartment to start you out, right? Until you're ready to buy that house. You want to get into that permanent plan, right? So that temporary, moving from that apartment, now you're moving on up, right, to the permanent housing.
Not moving on up like George and Wheezy.
I knew you was gonna do it.
Moving on up.
So that's what we're going to talk about today, and we're going to talk about why it's important to maybe start with a term sometimes. Just depends on where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also going to talk about the difference between the two. I think it's
Yeah,
important to
yeah.
share that
And,
today.
and and it goes back to the strategy behind it.
Mhm.
I almost wanted to name today's episode "Get In Where You Fit In,"
Mm.
because for if mentally the hurdle for you is you can't afford it, or it's going to be too expensive. One, let's dispel the myth right now. Life insurance is not as expensive as most people think that it is.
Yeah.
Regardless of the type. Most
Mhm.
people think that what they will pay for it, it exceeds what the cost actually is in most instances, right? However, if you are, on a tight budget, or think you are in a position where you really struggle to figure out how can you bring this in, term is often more affordable,
Yeah.
and it does have, and I'm sure we'll speak to it soon, but we've definitely spoken to it on other episodes. Like, there are still some benefits that come with many of the companies that we work with, our term policies, that
Mhm.
still have some of the great advantages that other that whole life or permanent policies come have as well. But the main thing is, I want people to understand that the option, you get in where you fit in. If term is where you need to start, and sometimes term just makes sense because you're younger. We're only aging, right? We're only getting old, like you have
Mhm.
more responsibilities. Perhaps you have a young family. Perhaps you
Yeah,
have and then as some of your expenses are kind of dwindle away, or reach some of those goals, and you scratch some things off that you've accomplished in life, you can move to a different type of policy. But
absolutely.
if you could well, first let's go into just the basic, like lead from what you said. The basic is term is more of a renting, like
Mhm.
temporary. You got a place to stay, but you're kind of limited in how much you can do, but you do have shelter, right?
Mhm.
To permanent is more so you're building equity. You can do a little more expansion. You got a little more say so, like
Yep.
you own it.
Mhm.
So from there, what are some things that people should consider if they currently have a term policy and they want to know what their options are for permanent, or if they don't have any insurance and affordability is a concern?
Yeah.
What would you say to those two circumstances?
Okay. I mean, term, guys, essentially, like Quintaria said, it's a temporary policy. So typically when you purchase a term policy, it's to cover liabilities. You may have a smaller income level, but high debts. So maybe your debt outweighs your income. Term is good to cover that, where you can get a lot of insurance for cheaper. Your cost will be dramatically lower than a permanent policy. Liabilities would be mortgage or rent. It would be dependent children who are dependent, multiple children in a household. Income protection. If something were to happen to you, if you were the breadwinner, or if you were a stay-at-home mom and you're the one taking care of the household, or dad, nowadays, if you're taking care of the household, you want to get a big term policy because you want to be able to replace that income if you couldn't work, due
Yeah.
to illness and things like that. So term can essentially, typically you purchase it to cover those liabilities. Again, you need a lot of insurance for a lower cost.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so essentially that's why you would purchase it. When it comes to getting in where you fit in, guys, a lot of times I tell people, when I sit down with you, first of all, if you don't have insurance already, I'm gonna pause right there. Think about that. If you don't have it already, you need to get something. Okay. I think it's very irresponsible if you don't
Yeah.
have it and can qualify. Okay. There is no reason to delay getting life insurance, especially if you have a family. I do want to speak to those. Sometimes when I get people, why would I buy life insurance? It's just me. I don't have anything else. Well, let me ask you a question. Some people even say, I don't really like people. I don't want to leave them nothing.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, I don't rock with
but
my family like that.
I
That's a
hear
whole
it.
nother episode.
However, with the changes in life insurance, I get people thinking like, well, let me ask you a question. If you don't like people, maybe they don't like you. But what happens if you get sick and somebody need to take care of you? Then what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right? So most people don't have enough money in the bank to carry them. 6 years is the average disability.
Yeah.
So how can you replace your income for 6 years? What term insurance does with the new type of living benefits term insurance is what I'm talking about, living benefits now. It can help you replace that income. So if it is just you and you had that mindset, that's your mindset, that's fine. You still want to make sure that if you need to have some care and you need to replace your income to continue to stay in that house or that apartment or whatever piece of shelter you have, you want to make sure that you purchase that term insurance with living benefits to accommodate that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And even so, because we're not here to judge or condemn people's mindsets, like we all, I think of where I was 10 or 20 years ago,
Mhm.
and I'm just grateful for the grace and the power of God, you know. But I will say, if you are on, if that is your rebuttal when you're asked about life insurance, is, oh, I don't rock with people, I don't really have anybody I would leave anything to. Even more so, you need to make sure that you're covered while
Yeah.
you're here, because if you don't have a strong family or community support system, going back to what Mercedes said, should something happen to you, it's on you, and you want to have some things in place that will help you, because you don't have a traditional support system for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So it just makes good sense to make sure that whether you are considering your family and you want to protect your family and make sure that you're covering all of those liabilities, or if you don't have a family concern and you're kind of just doing this life thing on your own terms and all of that, do it on your own terms and make sure that you're covered.
For sure. For sure. I mean, it's simplicity in finding policies that work for you guys. I've done policies for people who live in lower income areas, trailer parks. Where constantly they call me every year for the annual review. Mercedes, thank you so much, for doing this. I know we don't have a lot, but we got something, and I appreciate
Yeah.
it. So it doesn't matter where you are, guys. You can get insurance as low as $15, $20 a month, which essentially, if you're going to Starbucks 3 times a week, that's $15 right there on a minimum, right?
I was to say, for one, not even 3 times. Yeah.
maybe
So roll back
two
one of
times.
those Starbucks trips. That's all we saying.
That's
Roll back
it.
one Starbucks trip so
Yeah.
that you can have the protection that you need.
Absolutely. So with term insurance, again, once you put that plan in place, whether you select the average policy, which is like a 10, 20, or 30-year term, that means that you can have that policy for that length of time. Within that time frame, though, guys, what happens is you need to be able to convert that policy over to a permanent. Now, here's one beautiful thing about locking in a term policy. Number one, locking it in locks in your health. So that means that once you qualify for that policy, it doesn't matter if your health changes down the line while you have the term. You are guaranteed to be able to convert that policy over to a permanent plan with no proof of insurability.
As long as it's within that conversion time period.
As long as it's within that time period. So
Yep.
let's say, for example, you have a 30-year term. Most companies will give you about a 20-year period to convert it over.
Convert.
And they'll remind you. So if you're thinking, hey, like me, I got a million things going on, I'm not going to remember to convert that term. The company will reach out to you via email or letter. They will send a smoke signal. Hey, it's time to convert this policy, right?
We moving up like George and Wheezy. Now we sending smoke signals. When I say we cover it all here,
yes.
Yeah.
They will allow you to convert it. So I think that's huge. While you're the healthiest you're going to be today, in most cases, we don't know if our health is going to change. So locking in that term policy is essential, with the opportunity to convert it to a permanent.
Yeah.
Okay? So let's move on to permanent then. So what does
Yep.
it mean to convert to a permanent? So the main difference is permanent is now you own it. And now that policy is going to build some type of equity, also known as cash value. Okay. That means that every time you make a premium payment, you're earning interest inside your policy that you can actually be able to borrow from as a loan, or take a policy withdrawal from it where you have cash. That cash is your cash. You can decide to use it on whatever you want. And honestly, the average interest rate right now for permanent, let's say IUL, which is an index universal life, is about 6.42%. The average for a whole life is about 4%. And the average for a universal life is about 2 to 3%. Okay. So there's different types of permanent. It just depends on what your goals are. If you're using it for a savings vehicle where you can pull that money out tax-free.
Yeah.
Okay. Life insurance is a
I'm
tax-free
with that
vehicle.
tax-free.
Yeah. Or you just want to have some permanent in place just to make sure that, hey, I know this is going to be there for me when that time comes.
Yeah.
So it really just depends on what works best. But the goal is, guys, to lock in that term policy, to keep your costs low while you're building your legacies, you're in your working years, you're building your retirement. And then when you're ready to convert that over to a permanent, then we can convert it over at that time.
Yeah. And it's such a beautiful thing. One thing I love about this type of strategy is it limits the excuses and the barriers to entry. There are so many, there are as a financial strategist, I work with a lot of financial products and provide a lot of financial options. One of the things I do is help people to either create their own business into a franchise or to purchase and buy franchises. I love structuring those and helping people buy franchises, but you need a lot of money to get into that. For more, like you need a substantial amount of money. You've got to have certain things in place, like that is, but when it comes to purchasing life insurance, it's a limited barrier to entry for that. And with, like I said, with a solution like this, like get in where you fit in. If term is what is the most makes the most sense at this point, based on where your life is, it's not as many hurdles that you have to go through it, where other financial vehicles will like you just have to have a little more. So going back to the whole concept of today's episode about strategy and the execution of that strategy, I feel like it could be a great ground level or early entry point for many as they're building and growing and learning more about financial products as a whole. And then they can convert when they're ready. And now they don't have to worry so much. I know in previous episodes, we talked about health and the impact of your health on your life insurance application. That's no longer a barrier or a concern if you already have a locked in policy that allows you to convert. One thing I will say that is just slightly different though, although the life insurance company will do a great job of reaching out to you to let you know, I still think our community needs to take more ownness of our own financial paths, our own, like it's cool that people reach out to us, but in our community, waiting for others to rescue us has not always worked to our advantage. So I want to encourage people to set up at a very minimum, you should have an annual financial review. Mercedes and I have spoken to this. Maybe that's something we need to do another episode on, is those financial reviews and how pivotal they are. But we have got to take control of our, like we've got to drive our financial life, we've got to guide it and all of that. Put it on your calendar, make it serious. I would love to know that more people are doing monthly financial meetings like I do with my family, like, because in order to create these individual financial legacy plans, you need to know what you need. And you've got to check that periodically. So at the very minimum, you should be doing annual financial plans so that when let's say you get a term policy, and with what you've structured with your financial advisor or whoever supported the financial professional that's supporting you, you say, in 3 years, I think I will, I've got a couple promotions that are on the horizon for me at my job. And in 3 years, I should be in position to be able to afford to convert this to permanent. Like, we want to check in with that, like, because 3 years may truncate to a year and a half, my youngest daughter,
or there might be a baby that came about. I just talked to a client. I did an annual review, and she's like, I got this 2-month-old sitting. I said, what? You had a baby? I was like, girl, you had a baby. So things change.
Yeah, life be life. And, so it is very important for us to own our own financial legacy and to drive that and take responsibility for that, so that we can make these decisions when it makes sense for us. So I'm gonna get off my box right now, but that's it. That's all I got to say to that.
You did fine. I mean, there's so many testimonies that we can speak of. One of the initiatives I rolled out was hashtag 1 million to live. My personal goal as Coastway Financial CEO and president is to make sure that as many families have $1 million of life insurance as possible. Why? Because number one, if everybody has $1 million plus of life insurance, then we can pass on a great amount of generational wealth, and we can
Say
change
that.
the family dynamic. I mean,
Yeah.
think about it. If we are, in a community where, the average income level is what, 52,000, I think, or something like that, nationwide, $1 million can make a huge difference, guys. Generationally, it gives options. It gives us the opportunity to build infrastructure that we need in our communities,
Yes.
resources that we need in our communities. It also can act as collateral. We're going to do an event about SBA loans. I hope you guys get on there. We have an Eventbrite coming up for that. How to qualify using life insurance as collateral, things like that. We're going to talk about all those things. But hashtag 1 million to live, again, is an initiative to make sure that we have enough. I mean, I just did $1 million policy for a 32-year-old male. It was $40. $40 a month, family, to make sure you have $1 million in coverage. And we're talking about living benefits insurance. I'm talking
Yeah.
about terminal illnesses included, critical illness, chronic illness, critical injury, Alzheimer's, fertility rider. If you're having trouble making a baby, we will help you at no additional cost. So if you have an old traditional plan, this is why you need a consultation. You need an
Yeah.
annual review to see if you have the new type of life insurance that has no additional premium for those riders I discussed.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's wonderful. We love and we respect grandma and them. We love
Yep.
them, but we don't have to have their policies.
Yes.
We don't have to keep their policies. Honestly, in honor of them, and in the spirit of passing the torch and moving the legacy forward, we owe it to our ancestors and our grandparents and our future legacy to evaluate and see where we are, and to make sure that we're on track to do the best for ourselves, which will inadvertently leave a better legacy for those that we say we love as well too. Well,
Absolutely.
this has been a good topic. I hope that for those of you all who have joined us, that you understand the vast opportunities that we have discussed today. The understanding that there are a lot of products out there
Yeah.
that are available to you. That is why you need to book a consultation. If you are unsure of what your policy means, we can review those policies with you. I've gotten quite a bit of business, not even from soliciting the business, but just from reviewing what they have. And I'm like, hey, no, this has changed, that has changed, this, and Mercedes and I both, like, we are very upfront. And if you got something that we haven't heard of, or it's a bomb product,
We're
like,
gonna tell you,
thank
like,
you,
hey, this is good. No need to
you,
change
right?
nothing. I like this.
Yeah, like because
Yep.
we're gonna be trying to figure out, like, hey, like, can we get one for ourselves? But more often than not, that's not the case.
Yeah,
People are
very rare.
underinsured or improperly insured, or they don't have insurance at all, or everyone in their family isn't covered, and for no good reason or whatever. So
Yeah.
booking the consultation, having the conversation, if you are already insured, kudos. But doing those annual reviews at a minimum, you owe it to yourself. You owe it to your family, even if your family is just you. If you're one of one, like Mercedes mentioned that earlier, whatever your family looks like, you owe it to yourself, to your
Yeah.
family, to your future self. Do
Mhm.
you owe it to your future self to make sure that you're still in position to win, and you can still build the legacy as you desire? And that's what we're here for. That's why we show up every Monday. And while our phones and scheduling apps are always open and available, so that we can help you all structure the life that you desire.
Absolutely. One thing I just want to kind of close with also, guys, I think most of our audience is probably like between 30 and like 55 or so,
Mm-hmm.
would you say? Guys, most of us are either caring for our aging parents, or involved in their financial planning, I would encourage you guys to make sure you sit down and talk to your loved ones, your parents, your aunties and uncles, and make sure that they have the proper burial coverage and things like that. Because more often than not, it's more like, dang, I thought she took care of that. I thought he took care of that. That's what people say when their family members pass away. So if you are in a position to say, hey, mom, dad, let's sit down, let's see what you got to make sure you're good. We have no problem with sitting down with you guys via Zoom or in person to share with you, or to review what they have to make sure
Yeah.
they have enough to be.
I love family conversations.
Yeah.
I am
Mhm.
very family oriented. I'm very community oriented, which is, I know, one of the main reasons why I serve on so many committees and boards, and my commitment to my immediate family and to my extended family. So it lean in to challenging. I don't want to use the term difficult, lean into uncomfortable conversations,
Yeah.
because the more
It's
you lean
important.
into it, it's a blessing there,
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
gold is found through pressure, and that like gold doesn't fall out of the sky like rain. You've got to dig and go deep to get it.
Mhm.
So I'm not saying, and nor is Mercedes alluding to the fact that that it's easy. I always say it's simple, not easy, but we owe it to ourselves. We owe it to those we love, to be responsible and have those responsible
Yeah.
conversations, to know where people are.
Yeah.
Somebody in the
Right.
family is wanting you to ask,
Mhm.
are they good?
That's that's what they mostly say, Quintaria.
They
They're like, "Oh
want
my goodness,
someone to
I
ask,
never
are
knew
they
what to
good?
do, so I just kinda just left it." That's what they say.
Thank you.
They
Thank you.
want you
And
guys
and
to ask.
it's not my situation
Yeah.
necessarily, but I'm just thinking as a human, if I
Mhm.
don't have all my stuff together and no one in my family ever asks, that
Mhm.
puts even more pressure on me not to want to burden them or
Yeah.
worry them, or like, it's like y'all ain't even asking. So I'm just
Mhm.
going to just stay in my corner and kind of do what I do and leave it alone. We owe it to those we love to make sure that they're good.
Yeah.
And working with professionals like Mercedes and myself, we can
Mhm.
help you as an individual or your entire family, your
Mhm.
entire block. Bring the whole community to me.
That's
I'll rent
it.
out the library, the commute. I will, Mercedes.
Yes,
I
let's
will.
do it.
Bring
I've done
the
it
whole
several times,
community.
so
We want everyone to win.
yes,
It is
absolutely.
abundance is so it is so many winning opportunities, so
Mhm.
many financial strategies and ideas and products that can elevate our lives, that if we got to rent out the stadium, y'all flock in to see Beyonce and all them. If we got to get the stadium to rescue us all, Mercedes and I will figure out a way to do
That's
that.
it. We in
But
there.
I
We in
love you all. Mercedes, thank you as always for being a dedicated partner in this mission to ensure our community, from 1 million to live, to just understanding that get in where you fit in. If it's a term policy today, we can help you structure a plan for whatever your legacy looks like for tomorrow.
Yep. As always, love thy neighbor as thyself. It's been wonderful. Thank you, Quintaria. Guys, we will see you on the next Money Mondays.
Hey, y'all have a great one.